stay with gender-based violence-related matters. The Soul City Institute has joined several other organizations from across the continent to discuss solutions on ending violence against women and girls. The discussions under the hashtag More Than Bodies ended this afternoon. Joining us tonight is Phinah Kodisang, who is the Soul City Institute CEO, and from Nairobi we're joined by Jinna, who is a Kenyan film producer. Good evening to both of you. It's a pleasure to have you on News at Prime. And, you know, perhaps, Jinna, let me begin with you, because we know the South African picture when it comes to gender-based violence, and we're often told that the trend, especially in terms of what we've been seeing under the lockdowns, is not unique to South Africa, where there's been an increase generally in violence against women. Tell us about what's been happening in your country, in Kenya.
I mean, of course, it's been on the, sadly, but it's been on the increase. So the situation before COVID was not the best. But now with the COVID lockdown, we're having gender-based violence. The Ministry of Health said that now it was on the increase, 42% on the increase. So, I mean, it's really sad. And I think it's time for having a collective movement so that we can really shift behavior on the ground.
Phinah, how important is it to start these conversations from not just a South Africa position, but to look at what the rest of the continent, if not the rest of the world, is also doing?
It is actually a global pandemic. The idea of gender-based violence is that it's been in the increase everywhere. If you look at statistics, they're showing that it's on the increase. But since it's a pandemic that's affecting everyone, I was like, you know, you need a collective movement. You need numbers to shift the conversation on the ground. And I'm also a firm believer where one hurts, we all hurt. So it can't be that South Africa women are being hurt and I, as a Kenyan woman, I'm not feeling anything about that. So those two things really motivated me to kind of come up with a collective campaign, and I'm so thankful to the civic societies that we partnered with to make this possible. So I really appreciate Phinah's response. I mean, they were really helpful in terms of us collaborating together.
Phinah, do you want to come in here?
Thank you. You know, GBV cuts across borders, it cuts across ethnicity, it cuts across everything. Because patriarchy as a system is not a system that is confined to one country. So you do need a response that is global, because it's a global pandemic, you know. So if you want to address it and address it from the root causes, you need to look at different cultures, you need to look at different practices across the board. Because remember, we are a global society. We move around as women. We're not confined to one country. So we need to ensure that responses are addressed across all sectors, across different countries, so that when I go to Kenya as a woman, I'm not exposed to the same kind of violence.
Sure. And I'm keen to know, are there similarities in terms of the patterns and the trends of how this violence that women are experiencing is being meted out? Maybe, Phinah, let me begin with you, because you, of course, have the context of the South African situation.
Yeah. Gender-based violence is gender-based violence in any language, you know, in any culture. The fact that somebody violates another human being, whether it's in South Africa, whether it's in Malawi, in Kenya, wherever it is, I think the patterns are the same. It's more men perpetrating violence on women and on children. There might be nuances. For example, in South Africa, we don't have a lot of child marriages, but we know in other African countries, you know, women are given in child marriage and violated in that way. But the pattern is the same, because we see more and more women being the ones exposed rather than men, you know. And of course, trends are coming up where we see violations against men. But I guess across all continents, what we are seeing is that perpetration happens mainly against women and children. Jinna can add from the perspective.
Jinna, I also wonder, what is it going to take to make collaborations like this successful? So, you've had these engagements. How do you take them beyond the platform and make sure that they're things that actually materialize within the affected communities, especially of everybody that is represented as part of these conversations?
I mean, the conversations is a start, and from the conversations, we have people contributing on ways we can collaborate together. So we do have the conversation part, but we also have the dignity kits that we are distributing on the ground to help the women who have been affected by GBV. So it will take everyone, and it's just not a civil society thing. This is everyone. Every man and every woman should care about gender-based violence and the rates that are the increasing, the alarming rates that we're experiencing in Africa. Because if we're not careful, we're going to lose the female race. I mean, I think everyone should participate in it at the level they should.
Sure. And how do people come on board? How do people begin to also be part of the conversations that are happening, I suppose, beyond just maybe watching it on the news, like many will be doing tonight?
Right. So we are on social media, and they can follow Pan-African GBV Talks, and they can tweet with the hashtag More Than Bodies, because women are more than bodies. It's so tiring to keep hearing, oh, she died, another woman died. We're like, it's not just another woman. She had a name, she had a destiny, she had a dream, she had probably an innovation. So more than bodies. These women are more than bodies. They are people. They are contributors to the society. They do affect the economics of Africa. So yeah, they can hashtag us at More Than Bodies and follow Soul City. I mean, follow these organizations that are working on changing the behavior on the ground.
All right. Phinah, perhaps let me give you the last word here.
So I think the conversations have started, but they must not end. And I'm sure people watching the news feel like, every day we hear about this. But you will continue hearing about it until something tangible is done, until we see solutions, until we see the political will that we've been asking for, until there's reform in the law, until we don't hear every morning when we wake up about another woman who has been killed. And Jinna is right, we are not just women. We have names. Until all those people, who are being lost to this scourge are actually, we stop it, and we make sure that women across the world, globally, feel protected, know that their rights will be protected, and that violence will not be perpetrated. We won't stop having these conversations. We should have these conversations in our home, on every platform. It should be our daily conversation until something is done.
Absolutely. Phinah Kodisang, who is with the Soul City Institute, she's the organization CEO, and of course Jinna Mutune. She's a Kenyan film producer, joining us also for this conversation. Thank you very much, ladies, for your time tonight.